So imagine for a minute, like, a hacker decided to target a prominent water company, and all of a sudden the water treatment system doesn't work and we all end up with sewage in our water. That's frightening. Every week we're now seeing another brand on the front page of the Daily Mail. IGEL does have competition, and the competition's called apathy. This military organisation, or this secure government organisation, trusts us. All of a sudden you can now bring that legacy infrastructure into the modern world. It is literally a matter of national security.
In London, a patient has died, not from illness, but from cyber attack. Ransomware crippled the NHS, delaying treatment and claiming what is believed to be the first UK life. In the Midlands, 150-year transport giants, Knights of Old, closed their doors forever after refusing to pay a 5 million ransom. Marks and Spencer's, 300 million gone. The Co-op, 6.5 million customers' data exposed. Delta, 7,000 flights grounded. IT issues have now become one of the greatest threats to modern life. Welcome to the state of systems. So today we are diving into the biggest cybersecurity secret you've never heard of, a technology company called IGEL. It quietly protects some of the most sensitive systems on the planet. They claim never to have been compromised. So if they're that good, why isn't everyone using it?
To help us answer that, we've got the channel director for UKI and APAC for IGEL, Justin Thorogood, with us today. Welcome, Justin, to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here, guys.
We ask our guests, what is your hacker handle?
Your first pet's name and then your latest ailment or injury.
For example, mine would be Kara. That's my dog's name. And my last illness was probably something I can't say on the show, but COVID. Kara COVID.
Oh, controversial. Yeah. I best not go with Shandy Clap then.
Hey, keep it PG. Mine was Ben shoulder pop. My shoulder still hurts a little bit, so that's mine.
Okay, so Justin, what is IGEL? Just in plain English, could you just expand to us and let us know a little bit more about what IGEL does?
Sure, 100%. So IGEL is an organisation, been around, I think we're kind of be coming up for our 25-year anniversary soon. It was a business that was kind of born out of working with, secure government, military, but we were a business that created a secure read-only modular operating system. The intent being is almost to make it ransomware-proof. Now, obviously, that's a bit of a bold statement because there is nothing that is 100% foolproof. But the intent is to kind of ward away the majority, by not giving the attackers a surface to hit. We operate on any x86 platform. So when a customer comes to us and says, look, we work with, XYZ device, whether that be a laptop, tablet, desktop, we find a way of making it work for them.
Okay.
So you guys, I think I could say you protect countries sometimes. You protect the defense, you protect the healthcare, you protect a lot of public sector. You would think a lot more people would know about IGEL and use IGEL a lot more. Why do you think that's not the case?
I think that's because some of my largest customers are not ones that are going to go on public record.
There are people who have IGEL that you really, really can't tell us about. Am I correct in saying that?
You're going to try and get me to talk about it?
I'd love to try and get you to.
Who's your largest customer?
I can't tell you. It is literally a matter of national security.
And is that in the UK? Is it all over the world? Or
all over the world?
All over the world?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I could hazard a guess.
You're not going to. It's not worth it for me. But, to put it into context, IGEL will be on warships, submarines.
Wow.
Places where you wouldn't want to be.
Is IGEL in space?
I genuinely don't know how it's been deployed.
Yeah.
Oh, come on,
I
Justin.
can't. No, I don't.
I thought we were friends.
Sorry to be the spoil sport, guys, but it's not something that I can talk about.
I think I get the drift anyway. And there's some absolutely amazing things that IGEL are doing with organizations that protect us on a daily basis. That sounds really intriguing.
So Knights of Old had to shut their doors after 150 years for refusing to pay a £5 million ransom.
Yeah.
What can we learn from this?
Well, first and foremost, I think the fact they probably didn't have the money to start with to pay it. I mean, what a brand.
Yeah.
We all spend a lot of time on motorways. We would see those iconic kind of turquoise blue lorries on the road. The fact of the matter is that the cyber market, I mean, it's tough just to keep up. I mean, if we take a look at, the government produce a cybersecurity report every year, which is quite worrying when you look into it. Just, if we take a look at a typical public sector organisation, just keeping their firewall policies up to date is hard work, right? And government, not the best payers, let's be honest. If you get the skills, you're probably looking at moving into the private sector. And there are organisations that are struggling just to keep the wheels in motion, keep their security policies up to date. And unfortunately for Knights of Old, I think in this particular case, that there was a door that was left wide open, and obviously the bad guys came in to exploit that. Unfortunately, everybody lost as a result, and Ransom didn't get paid either. So you saw an iconic brand disappear. We're seeing this on repeat, and unfortunately, it's getting worse every week. We're now seeing another brand on the front page of the Daily Mail. A compromise that was made somewhere, and I think the industry statistics are telling us that around 40 to 50% of those attacks are coming from the endpoint itself.
Is there a new government policy or a new government law?
The government has issued a mandate. I think it was released. I think it was only 2 weeks ago. So this is pretty fresh.
Very new, yeah.
That no public sector body is allowed to pay the ransom. They want the UK to shut the doors on being a target.
Is that
just on any ransom, no matter the price?
Any ransom.
Yeah.
But also those bodies have to report it. Private sector now have to report it before paying.
Is that a government directive?
It's a government directive. There is a link which I'm sure that we'll be able to share that goes alongside it. But it reiterates the government's stance that we want to close the business. I mean,
is this supposed to act as sort of a deterrent from people out there trying to put ransoms forward?
Yeah, I mean, so we work very closely with a number of cybersecurity players, and what they do is they issue a list of kind of like the top 10 hacker groups.
Oh, wow.
That list is on the government agenda, and it's like, if any of these appear, absolutely there needs to be no negotiation.
Okay. So there's
involved.
A list. There's a list.
There is a list.
Okay.
I mean, but the cybercrime industry is actually worth, I think it's in the region of 10.5 trillion.
Oh, wow.
Now, just to put that into context, if you were to take a look at, if we look at the global top 10 in terms of market cap by asset, gold would be first. That sits around 20 trillion market cap. Nvidia is second as the first kind of company.
Yeah.
So they're 4.1 trillion. So if cybercrime became Cybercrime Incorporated,
mind-boggling,
it would be the second largest asset by market cap globally. And that's frightening, I guess. And if you were to kind of add to that, when you say, but cybercrime isn't a company. Yeah. But there are ways and means with which any of us could go onto the dark web and we could instigate a target.
Now, isn't it?
It is a business, absolutely, which is why it exists. That's why companies are being targeted. Yeah. And, I find it a crying shame when it's the organisations that are not in a position to pay.
Yeah.
Become a target. So when we hear stories about our NHS as an example, we all know that there's no money in the coffers, right? Yeah. They're struggling just to keep the lights on, to pay the doctors and nurses what they deserve. Keeping patient wait list times down.
Yeah.
When something like this comes along, and there's a multitude of examples, and I know we'll probably come to that, but God, it hurts. When people's operations get cancelled. You mentioned like the first cybercrime.
Yeah.
Right. This is becoming more commonplace. These groups, they look at healthcare and they look at it as an industry. They don't consider whether it's publicly funded or privately funded. They just see a target.
They don't care whether it hurts people or what the effect that knockon effect that.
They're not thinking about that.
Industry, does it?
Not thinking about that at all.
Okay.
What type of critical infrastructure is still running on outdated tech at the moment?
Okay, so great question. We're entering into the realms of that's beyond the realms of IT. We're now talking about something called operational technology, and operational technology and IT are in the process of converging, and there's a reason for that. Okay, OT attacks are nothing new, right? So there was an incident back in, I think it was 2009, 2010. It's the most well-known attack using operational technology, and it was the US government targeting Iran's nuclear program.
Yeah.
So they managed to get in through an OT endpoint.
Okay.
And they managed to change the telemetry just slightly. I think it was like by 1/10 of an inch.
Oh, wow.
And it set back that nuclear program, I think, 3 to 5 years as a result, because they couldn't work out what had gone wrong.
Okay.
And it was basically the US exerting their influence. There was another hack that went on. It was something called Colonial Pipeline, where effectively the hackers managed to turn off the gas supply to America. So it's a very different type of attack.
Okay.
Organizations now are becoming more well-versed in terms of zero trust and compliance, and they want to bring all of their infrastructure up to that. The challenge with that is that there are certain devices, there's certain infrastructure that cannot be updated. Let me kind of give you some examples of that. So NHS, if you think about like MRI scanners, CT scanners, these are expensive pieces of kit.
They are,
right?
yeah.
Many of them may have been bought 10 years ago plus.
Yeah.
They work. Why the hell are you going to replace them? But the software that's running on that needs to, can't be updated any longer for one reason or another. So you can't then update the hardware because the new hardware doesn't recognize it. It stops working. Like utilities as an example, at our recent IGEL on Tour event, we had one of the prominent water companies that's a customer of ours that said that our entire water treatment system's running on old Frankenstein machines because the software was developed 15, 20 years ago. Right, they can't update it at this moment in time, and they can't turn it off. Yeah. Imagine for a minute, like a hacker decided to target a prominent water company in the UK, and all of a sudden the water treatment system doesn't work, and we all end up with sewage in our water, and we end up with a lot of people very ill.
Wow.
So if you are going to bring this type of infrastructure into the modern zero trust and compliance world, you need to be able to update that somehow. So with that in mind, IGEL has developed in collaboration. We've worked very, very closely with Honeywell, which is, I guess, is a known brand to some.
Okay.
We've worked really closely with, I don't know if I can say the name of the automotive manufacturer, but they're at the forefront of technology, shall we say, Vorsprung durch Technik. To drop a very, very heavy hint, but they're all about operational technology. They're all about kind of streamlining processes, making sure that the conveyor belt of cars continues to run without interruption.
Okay.
Right? And in order to do that, they need those legacy systems brought up to date.
Right.
So what you do with the introduction of our managed hypervisor platform is effectively we are emulating that legacy operating system. So all the way back to kind of Windows 2000, XP, Vista. So
but sorry to interrupt, isn't that out of date though, Windows 2000, because you can't, there's no updates, there's no patches for it.
But if you were to be able to run it on modern hardware, all of a sudden, and you can run it using an IGEL operating system, with effectively the hypervisor sitting on top, all of a sudden you can now bring that legacy infrastructure into the modern world. And that's something historically that you couldn't do. Now, the reason that this is important from an operational technology standpoint is these legacy infrastructures have to be air-gapped. Okay, now air-gapping is something that's very common in the military and in secure government because there's infrastructure you just don't want it touched. So like a warship or a submarine, right? That environment is completely air-gapped, right? They have to air-gap this infrastructure because they're worried that if they kind of open the doors and put it on the network, that screams, hit me.
So that'd be a compromise.
It would be an immediate compromise.
Huge target as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? When you say hypervisors, for people who don't know or understand it.
So effectively, it looks like a virtual. It's like a little window, and it's got. So I don't know if you can remember Windows XP. It was that beautiful green, the green flowing green fields with the blue sky.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That literally will come up on the IGEL OS, and they're managing it as if they were before, but it's just through a window.
Okay.
And as I said, it's backwards compatible with these out of date Microsoft operating systems. The customer's very unlikely to ever move away. If they haven't done so in the last 20 years, I'd say it's pretty unlikely they are. The one particular customer, they've been a long-standing customer of ours.
Yeah.
We mentioned this at our IGEL on Tour event. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. They were straight onto us with this, saying, this is a real problem for us. We're having to maintain an old, outdated network on Frankenstein machines. That was their wording. We'd love to be able to bring this system into the modern era.
What sort of industries do you think should be using it or should be prioritizing that?
It's anybody that has this kind of critical infrastructure, this operational technology platform that is struggling to bring that into the modern era. I was on a call yesterday with one of our partners, and I mentioned SCADA, and they went on a diatribe for like about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Going, we need this. When's it coming?
Right. Okay.
Because it's inherently an area of the business that they haven't been able to touch. It's too dangerous to upgrade.
Okay.
But it's too risky to remain as is. So it's a.
But it's something that IGEL will be launching.
We'll be able to. So we'll be launching next
find.
quarter. We'll be able to address.
Yeah.
But if you take a look into healthcare, the benefits are obvious. I mean, especially for the old imagery side of things, manufacturing and retail. I mean, you think of point of sale. You think of all the devices, the sensors, the real-time data that's been transmitted across factory floors and production plants.
Yeah.
The energy and utility industry, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
But new areas for us, like the aeronautical industry, is proliferated with outdated systems.
Yeah.
But for my mind, we still have so much to do. And the question is with the NHS, they're strapped for cash. It's how do we kind of create the value there?
Yeah.
So again, IGEL has a very good story in terms of how we can extend the life of existing devices. But the issue you've got is like we're challenging the status quo. I think the biggest challenge that I find as IGEL, if I'm completely honest, is moving away from something that you've always known, i.e. Windows, is tough on the endpoint. That shift change is hard for an organisation. But I walk into sort of our comms office, and I'm sure there's probably MacBooks that are sat there. People suddenly are like, oh, but they're okay with that operating system, and they're using Android or iOS, and then flitting between the two. And then there's an iPad like what you've got there, Gary.
Yeah.
When they actually see the operating system and they see a little icon in the corner, and up pops a menu, and the Wi-Fi's in the corner, and there's icons on the desktop, and you double click them and things open. It's like, yeah, that's an operating system. This one's inherently very secure, and it'll work perfectly with your Windows infrastructure.
Yeah.
IGEL does have competition, and the competition's called apathy. Because it's very easy to go and buy a Windows laptop.
Yeah, it is.
There was always an old adage, and you could insert vendor name here, but nobody got fired for buying vendor X, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But nobody ever got promoted doing that either.
Yeah.
It's a new era for IGEL, and I would love to be in a position where we're in front of a big bank, and I could go on record saying this military organisation or this secure government organisation trusts us. We had our IGEL Now and Next event in Miami, and we ran a zero trust panel, and the amount of experience sat in those 5 chairs was eye-watering. So we're talking previous administrations and current administrations. We're working very, very closely with the current administration around the next generation of zero trust, so there's still work for us to do there. But what was pleasing was them effectively validating what we are already doing. So you can probably guess that there's something going on with the existing administration with IGEL.
Yeah.
But you can't get them on a reference call. We've got customers that have got hundreds of thousands of seats, but no one's ever going to know.
Kind of took me back then. Last year, a security update took down Windows machines globally. What kind of disruption did this have?
Okay, I mean, for the general market, it was horrendous. This wasn't a ransomware attack. This was just this was actually an update to. I won't mention the name of the organisation. I think they've had enough of that.
They've been named and shamed a few times, haven't they?
It was a cybersecurity vendor whose update was actually the customers didn't even know that this cyber vendor was part of the Microsoft service that went down.
Yeah.
It caused the blue screen of death all over the world. I'm sure all of you have had a blue screen at some point. We all have. Yeah. It's unpleasant, but unfortunately, a simple reboot wasn't going to fix it.
Yeah.
So
turn it off and turn it back on, didn't work.
Well, I mean, if you were if you happened to be in an airport at the time, I think it was most prevalent because angry passengers get to Twitter very quickly when things are going wrong. Flights have been missed, and that then blows up and is trending before you know it. And unfortunately, for a lot of airlines, there was business loss compensatory claims, and obviously that has a knock-on impact.
Cost millions, didn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
but also then does that person want to fly that airline again? Now we have one of the most prominent American carriers, American Airlines. They're a customer of ours. We have a significant project with them and our friends at Omnissa to deliver the virtual desktop infrastructure piece.
Yeah.
And they were back up and running very quickly. No loss of business.
Okay.
And consequently, you look in the press now and you look at the airlines that are still going through litigation with Microsoft. I think Delta are suing for 600 million in losses.
Wow.
So bit of a shift change. It did actually impact a number of hospitals in the US as well. So we have a customer of ours who is very vocal. He said, despite the disruption from the incident, not one patient operation was cancelled. Doctors just got on with their job,
amazing,
and he went on record to say, thank you IGEL, because without you we would have been in a lot of trouble.
So can I ask you then, what if a customer had IGEL in place and one of these attacks actually happen, what would be the difference?
Okay, first and foremost, the solution that we provide, it's Linux based, it's read only, it's modular. So there is no attack surface within the operating system. A lot of our customers would deploy some kind of virtual desktop infrastructure. So for those that are not aware of what that is, it's effectively a desktop in the cloud. So there's many vendors out there, like your Omnissas, like your Microsofts and others that provide a service, and they're providing you a beautiful evergreen Windows that's served up from the cloud, beams down to the device. So
it's not actually sat on the device.
It's not actually sat on the device. So we provide this kind of highly secure operating system on the endpoint, prevent those loopholes coming in. We've had a solution in play for some time. It was effectively IGEL on a USB stick. It's called a UD Pocket. It plugs into the device, so you reboot the machine, it goes into the IGEL operating system, it provides all the applications that the individual needs. So let's just say you're a travel agent, and travel agents often have contractual staff. They'll send a device out, it's got Windows on it, and they say, right, you just plug this key in, you press the button, and you're straight into IGEL. You can work happily. When the individual leaves the organization, they send the laptop back with the key. All the intelligence was on here, not on the Windows device. It's almost, think of the UD Pocket as a fixed moment in time that you plug in, and it can get the customer back up and running again. So if the device has been compromised, in the event of business continuity, if a device has been compromised, you can put the UD Pocket in, it'll fire up the IGEL OS, they will get straight back into their Windows environment using some kind of virtual desktop infrastructure, or they'll just have the critical applications that they need to work. So things like their email, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. It has a secure boot sequence. And they can be straight back up and running while the Windows team are busy trying to fix whatever problem it was. And it could be something as simple as an update error. Like they've rolled out a patch, everything's gone wrong. They need to get that fixed, but they want people just to be able to continue working.
I like your little UD Pocket things. I'm doing.
He loves them. He was messing with them the other day.
But I also got a client that I'm trying to roll it out to as well at the moment.
Our Asia sales guys call them IGEL Candy.
My customer said that I know I'm gonna take 10 or 20 of these, and I know once I start using them, there'll be someone else in another department say, "What's that? Let's have a play with that. Let's have a look at." And he said, like, once one department goes with it, he said it'd be like wildfire. Everyone will adopt it, and it's mainly for a DR. But he just says, "I know this is going to really take off and stuff like that." So
I mean, the challenge I see with the UD Pocket is we've got customers that literally lock them away in a safe, and they then got to DHL those out to everybody if there's a problem. It's right if everyone's on site, but then if you've got remote workers or people are not in the office the day the problem occurs, then you've got to DHL that out. And unfortunately, that's, as I said, the UD Pockets are a fixed moment in time, the way that they're configured. Yes, you can get them all updated. We announced at our Now and Next event back in March that we would be rolling out a what's called dual boot. Okay, so what we're able to do is customer can carry on normally using their Windows environment. If something should happen, whatever that thing may be, could be a ransomware, so it could be an update issue, could just be a problem with their infrastructure. What they're able to do is they don't need a UD Pocket, that again, all of those need configuring. So I said it's a snapshot in time. Dual boot isn't a snapshot in time. It's a continuous OS that gets updated, that sits on a different partition. So if they have been cyber attacked, that partition potentially is off limits now, but they want people to continue working. They can just simply reboot and press. There'll be an F button assigned.
Okay.
And they can boot straight into IGEL OS.
Yeah.
So effectively, it's a dual boot scenario. So think of us almost like the get out of jail free card in Monopoly, almost. Now, this for us kind of means that the customer can continue using Windows, but we're there if the worst should happen.
I think it was put to me as if you have like a laptop and one half is just your regular laptop and the other half would be IGEL. And if you needed to, you could just move over to that half of the laptop. Is how it was put to me anyway.
Yeah, it's a business continuity offering. Yeah, the graphic we use is exactly that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you've got the other form of business continuity is, of course, through the managed hypervisor, but that's for those OT environments we discussed. But look, I'm really excited about this business continuity piece. So for highly regulated, highly compliant industries like, financial services, this, because they're high profile targets.
I can imagine.
They want to just keep going. They need to stay up and running. They don't want to be down again. If something's going wrong at the bank, customers get their forks out pretty quickly and start to go to social media. And I said we work with some of the largest financial institutions in the world. Again, very, very difficult industry to get up. I mean, all the cybersecurity vendors all have the same problem, for the record. No one wants to say, hold our hands up, we got compromised. Like, nobody wants that. No one wants to be on the front of a tabloid press either. So
I've always been under the impression that no matter how much you spend on your IT, if someone wants to get into a system or into your network, they will always find a way around it. But it sounds like from what you're saying with IGEL, that has not occurred yet.
No,
would I be right in saying that?
I mean, we've never been compromised.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of that. Clearly, we don't want to be putting a target on our back. So what we say is that we mitigate kind of 95% of those endpoint threats, because there is nothing to target. It's read only. It's modular in its nature.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to penetrate that, and that's why we're trusted by some of the most secure organisations in the world. So on my travels last year, so I look after the Asia Pacific region, APAC, and I actually met a customer zero for the first time.
What is a customer zero?
Customer zero is like the first person that sees this behaviour, this pattern of behaviour that doesn't look right, and then they're reporting it to the cybersecurity vendors to take a look into. And what they'll do is they'll develop what's referred to as a signature, which will then provide everybody an update. Unfortunately, customer zero it's a bit like patient zero, right? Know where it potentially could spread, right? Because if they're successful, then that attack is going to then hit other organizations. And so cybersecurity vendors need to kind of prepare those patches, those updates super fast and get those rolled out. I met a client number one for the first time last year when I was in Singapore.
Okay.
I can't mention the name of the casino because we've got ongoing negotiations with them at the minute, and we're just in the process of doing another large deal with a casino. But casinos are literally seen as that's the cash grab. Okay. Like that's where
that's where people tend to focus on, or hackers
they gravitate to, and they pay the ransom because the ransom's just like, that's a rounding error.
Okay.
I mean, they make over I think it's about $1 billion profit every single year. Like, just eye-watering stuff. Right? But the actual turnover is massive,
astronomical.
Yeah, and it was interesting, kind of listening to them talk. Asia as a continent, they're a mad gambling region. Casinos are very prominent. You know, you can go to certain places, very opulent. They really look after their customers. So it's like Vegas on steroids.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as we all know, casinos are quite cash rich.
Yeah.
And they have seen some very intuitive ways of people getting in. So again, I can't mention the name of the organisation, but they said they probably get targeted and they have a serious incident probably 6 to 8 times every single year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they have an unlimited IT budget. So money is no object when it comes to addressing this. Now, they were telling us that they have hired, ex-government operatives, both nationally and abroad.
Okay.
They have tried outsourcing. They've tried hiring the best people. But they find more and more intuitive ways to get in. They said that digital signage has been a target because it's a device, it's on the network, it's obviously, it's just telling you where the different rooms are, or if, Gary's party, that's on the 3rd floor, right? There's information on the screen that's connected to the network.
Yeah.
They've even arrested people in the casino with full-blown surveillance equipment under their clothes.
Wow.
Right? They're looking for ways, because there's something that's sitting underneath their clothing that's trying to hack into the terminal that's sitting where the cashier sits. And there will always be more vectors, right? And they're obviously exploring their endpoint OS with us because they see that as the common target. The digital signage is everywhere, right? You can't walk into a coffee shop without seeing it. I mean, I was in TK Maxx the other day, and I saw the Windows message of doom to say that their license needed upgrading, and so it didn't have their stuff on there anymore. It just had the error message. So everybody in the queue's looking, going, "Oh, look at that!" But anything that's connected to the network is potentially a threat.
I take it that once you understand what someone's done for the first time, it's then easy to protect yourself against that, because you obviously then have an understanding.
You put the processes in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. Yeah. There are certain things that you can't get around, and that's the accidental.
Yeah.
Right.
Human error.
It happens. It happens, but again, there are processes and procedures in place. But we'll make damn sure that it's not the endpoint that's the point of compromise.
So Justin, once a company adopts IGEL, what are the other benefits from that?
Well, there's probably the precursor that we do before they adopt IGEL. So a lot of the challenge around changes, that's been instigated because there is an inherent challenge. So the most recent one that we've seen, has been this challenge a lot of customers have moving to Windows 11.
Yes.
Right? What we do is we work closely with the customer and with the partner in tow.
Yep.
And we have a really simple questionnaire which formulates the basis of what we would call a TCO calculator, total cost of ownership calculator. Yeah. It's something that I wished I'd had in a previous life. I mean, this would have been a game changer for me personally. But what we do is we send this questionnaire out to the customer, and they kind of give us all the information that we need in terms of the number of devices, maybe the number of thin clients if they've been using thin client technology, how much they're paying in terms of the cyber footprint, what they're paying, their IT technicians, what they're paying around their Windows licenses. Mm-hmm. We can even go down to kind of what is the current cost per kilowatt per site, so we can give
that granular.
We can go that granular.
Yeah. So
potentially, what we end up at, Gary, is we end up in a situation where there may be some devices within the organisation that they've stood the test of time. They should probably be the doorstop for the meeting room now. But rather than having to go out and buy the AI PC i9 bells and whistles, maybe they can get away with buying the i3, because they're now installing a lightweight OS that's got a tiny footprint on it, right? So you could go down to Curry's and go and buy the other retail outlets available, but you could be purchasing a much lower end device, right? That doesn't need the storage, the RAM, and everything else that goes with it. So those cost savings are almost immediate.
So now, still populate. So sorry, do you still populating their existing hardware and equipment, but just use? But
no. So when they have to buy new, they're not having to buy high end. They can get away with something that's a lot lighter weight in terms of device.
Okay.
The devices that we can continue with, effectively, we're extending the life, potentially 4 or 5 years. And this bit is then the more interesting part. So they will probably have a lot of subscriptions that they're paying for a number of cybersecurity vendors, and it's now the question of how many of those do they actually need now? Is there a business requirement to have, you need to be running an agent of some description? That's fine. We work with a plethora of them. We can start then turning things off. So it's a little bit like when you've overspent at Christmas and you need to look at the bank statement and you want to turn Netflix off, or maybe you're paying for Netflix twice. And do I really need that subscription for my fancy food every month? So effectively, we go through that process with the customer. Now, as part of that TCO tool, as I mentioned, we outline what those cost savings might look like. So what can we extend? What do you need to replace?
Yeah.
and what footprint we feel that you need on the endpoint moving forward. So all of a sudden, those existing devices will actually work a lot quicker. It's got a lightweight operating system on it. Again, this is how geeky we get. Because it is lightweight, right? The device power draw is then less. So the electricity bill goes down, right? These are the kind of the hidden benefits.
Yeah.
But once we've gone through that exercise with the customer, they've signed off on it, we work with the partner and we hand over that TCO report to our customer experience team.
Okay.
The idea is that going through, as we go through the rollout of that project, there are regular checkpoints with that customer to showcase when we're hitting those milestones that we outlined as part of the TCO.
Okay.
But the idea is that every single point, it's not us saying we can save you 75%, right? That's a bold statement. For some customers, it might be 20%. Others, it might be 80%, right? The tool enables us to reach a number which is mutually agreeable and produces an output that the CIO looks at and thinks, that addresses my needs.
Yeah.
The infrastructure piece, I'm happy. The CISO's looking at this going, well, I can potentially greatly reduce my cyber bill, but I'm still remaining compliant to what the business needs. And of course, the CFO is looking at this going, this seems a little too good to be true. If you're going to sign up for this, then I'm signing up for this, but I'm going to make sure that you're held accountable. Hence the reason why this gets handed over to our customer experience team.
I would imagine because most people who say that they can save you money will at the beginning saying this is the amount of money that I'm going to be able to save you, but they don't actually be able. Yeah, but you're actually demonstrating from dot A to to the end of it and the touch points. You're actually demonstrating this.
But you've stuck to what you've said as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you stuck to your bullet points and you stuck to your margins and
your word as well. Yeah. So just to break it down to the people out there as to why people should use IGEL.
Look, from my perspective, I think we've had decades of repetitive behaviour. I know that 3 to 5 year hardware refresh. I think people have felt forced into a corner of late. The fact they've had to update. It's try something different. You've got a solution here that not only will drive significant cost savings and deliver the green credentials, but it's that secure wrapper for your endpoint. I mean, you've got an opportunity here to really make a shift change in terms of your security strategy. Right? Why wouldn't you? I mean, if I'm telling you that that our technology matters as a matter of national security, then why the hell would you not consider it?
Great point.
And when I first started at IGEL, I can remember getting the phone call. Right, I spent just over a decade working at Citrix, like enterprise software vendor, a job that I absolutely loved. Right, and the company changed. They made a lot of changes, and I found myself on the wrong end of that decision. But I spent 6 months. I had some time out with family. It was needed. 20 odd years without a proper break. And I'm walking my neighbour's dog one Sunday afternoon, and a gentleman by the name of Klaus Osterman calls me up. He was my boss for 3 years, or he was my boss's boss at Citrix. Okay. And he said, "Oh, well, I've joined as CEO at IGEL." And my first reaction was, "Oh, no, I know who IGEL are." And he went, "No, you knew who IGEL were."
Yeah, okay.
Because I associated the hardware side of things, a black box sitting next to a monitor, and it was a thin client, and we're so much more of that. And he brought into the picture this whole concept of this preventative security model, this PSM model, and he introduced on this call this concept of a 3-ring circus. So how in America everything's bigger, right? Here we have 1 ring, right? It's got the ringmaster in the middle and the lions and the clowns and everything else, and we're sitting there clapping. While the acrobat does his and her thing, right? But in America they have 3-ring circuses, okay? And the 3-ring circus, as part of the preventative security model, first and foremost is the platform that it sits on, right? The hardware,
the OS.
Yeah. So that's No. So I'm talking about the hardware
Oh
itself.
yeah, sorry,
That's
yeah,
our
the hardware.
partnerships
Sorry,
with the likes of, as I mentioned, with Lenovo, HP.
Sorry.
Then you've got the desktop as a service platforms, the VDI platforms, and the partnerships that we have in there. And as part of that second ring in the circus, that's kind of like your Microsofts, your Citrixes, your Omnisas, your identity and access management platforms as well sit in there. And then we move into the security side of things, which is the third ring. So that's where we partner with the likes of your Palo Altos, your CrowdStrikes, your Zscalers. Like, that's our belt and braces approach to what was referred to as SASE or Secure Services Edge.
Okay.
So we kind of sit in the middle of all of that. And as he began to articulate this picture to me, I was just like, wow, why does no one know about this? And he went, that's why I'm on the phone to you, because the channel is our route to market. We're a 100% channel. We do not sell direct.
Okay.
And he said, I need you to come on board. I want you to build a team. And, I want you to help us in this next leg up of growth. And, the first 6 months, when you're in a new job, you're thinking, oh God, what have I done? Is this the right thing? Because it is hard miles. Seeing the shift change in our customers, having gone and visited a lot of them myself, having seen them go up on stage and talk about the types, what we've been able to deliver for them, the outcome of it all, that for me is validation that I did make the right decision. I firmly believe that the technology could deliver change. Well, that was kind of like my cultural marker was, am I joining a company where I feel we can make a difference? And at Citrix, it was this whole work from anywhere on any device, with any application. And I could see that we could help people maybe that had been off work for an extended period of time and ease their way back into work. They weren't chained to a desk, right? I could see that it would help mothers get back into the workplace. And so having the CEO of IGEL call me up, who I knew very well and trusted, telling me about where IGEL was going to deliver as a company, I bought into what he was saying, and I then got it validated because the partners were telling me, if that is what IGEL are looking at doing, we want a part of that.
Yeah.
And now we're at the point where, and I joined this company to help it enter into this hockey stick of growth. But then I'm having the customers then tell me that we're delivering what it says on the tin, and that for me is validation.
It must be, yeah. Final question. We ask our guests from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're screwed, 1 being you're fine, how would you rate the current state of endpoint security if you didn't have IGEL in place today?
I think if you're not in a modern environment, I think in the school report would have been reading needs improvement. In all honesty, we're not screwed by any stretch.
Okay.
But there are things that there's a lot of heavy lifting. I feel, especially outside of those larger corporate and enterprise where they've got money to throw at the challenge. I'd say especially from a public sector healthcare standpoint, I think God, there's a lot to do.
Give me a number from 1 to 10.
7.
Yeah.
7.
Good 7, 8-ish.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of work to do. Honestly.
If you've got critical systems you can't afford to lose, we've put together 3 resources for you.
You can download the Managed Hypervisor Briefing, you can download the Business Continuity Cheat Sheet, and there is also the Total Cost of Ownership Calculator as well from IGEL. You'll find links to all 3 of them in the show notes.
Anything else to add, Justin?
So we have a next event running in Frankfurt this November. It's going to be for partners and customers. I think it's running 4th to the 6th of November. There will be links available for that to register. We'll be looking forward to seeing Arcom there.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Brilliant. I look forward to seeing you there. But this isn't just about IGEL, it's about our ecosystem as well. So we're going to have prominent speakers from our ecosystem along with some customers. They're actually going to be talking about their experiences. Last year we were fortunate enough to have Audi talking about how they're driving innovation in the realms of OT, funnily enough, talking about the manufacturing plant of the future. So watch this space. We haven't announced our customer speakers yet, but we've just launched the agenda last week. So we'd love to see you guys there, love to see your customers there, and look forward to welcoming you.
Yes, so thanks. It's been great having you. And until next time, thanks for listening to State of Systems.